We'll just drag him in. Good morning, members. Welcome to the 19th day of session, February the 7th, 2025 of the 68th Wyoming Legislature. If you are in the back, please make your way to the chamber. We are going to get ready. Chief Clerk, please begin. Call the roll.
Convening roll call for the 19th day, February 7th, 2025. Alamand. Andrew. Angelos. Banks. Bear. Brady. Bratton. Brown, Gary. Brown, Landon. Byron. Campbell, Elisa. Campbell, Kevin. Chestick. Clouston. Connolly. Davis. Eklund. Erickson. Filer. Geringer. Guggenmoss. Haraldson. Harshman. Heiner. Heft. Jarvis. Johnson. Kelly. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Lean. Lean. Locke. Lucas. McCann. Nicholas. Ottman. Pendergraft. Posey. Provenza. Riggins. Excused. Rodriguez Williams. Schmid. Sherwood. Singh. Smith. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Thayer. Washut. Wasserberger. Webb. Weber. Worf. Williams. Winter. Wiley. Yen. Mr. Speaker. Brady. Bratton. Brown, Gary. Chestick. Filer. Kelly. Knapp. Lucas. Singh.
We will hold the roll open briefly here while we wait for other members to make their way to the chamber. Next, ladies and gentlemen, for the prayer led today by Mr. Tim Hickman. Mr. Hickman is the former state director for the Child Evangelism Fellowship of Wyoming for 30 years and now lives in LaGrange, Wyoming. Mr. Hickman, please.
Well, let's stay rising for the doxology for this morning. I'll say a phrase, and if you'd repeat after me, that'd be wonderful. We'll begin. The Lord is high above the nations, and his glory is above the heavens. Who's like the Lord our God? He stoops to look down on heaven and on earth. Amen. You may be seated. Okay, be seated. That was a literal request. Yes, well, good morning. And before I begin, I want to assure you that we have utmost respect for the job that you are doing and for the folks that you are, the sacrifices that you're making. The amount of time, I just heard you've got 40 amendments to make today to the budget. And I'm glad it's sure that it's in the seat and not me. So praise God for you. We got your back, believe me. There's many that I know that are praying for you daily. So, right. Well, this morning now we are going to have our prayer. So bow your heads and we will pray. Lord our God, as we come before you today, what would you have for these representatives to guide and support them through this day? This simple thought first, O God, that you are the Creator and we your creation. It is you that have made us and not we ourselves. So what do we learn from this, O God? We learn that what we want, our plans, are not what is important today. What is your plan? What is the plan that you would have for us? What is the plan that you would have for the people of Wyoming, our constituents, Lord, those that we represent as representatives? In a strange turn of thinking, Lord, not only are we representatives from them, but we are representatives of God to them. As we take on a responsibility of that gravity, Lord, give us great wisdom and great understanding. Lord, I think of the words that Jesus taught his disciples in his prayer. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Will we take the thought, the forethought, the meditation required to determine what is it to have the will of God on earth as it is in heaven? And then we are reminded, O Lord, to the words of Jesus as he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he said, not my will, but yours, as he was looking forward to the cross. Well, you know, we all have a cross in our path somewhere. And I pray that by the grace of God, we will be able to say, not my will, O Lord, but yours be done. But dear God, is there not the best of both worlds? Do our paths have to diverge? And the answer to that is no, not really. For if we open up our hearts and our lives for you to be in us and to work through us, oh God, our wills can come to a converging place where your will for us and your plan is the same as the one that we have. We know, oh God, that in the scriptures this indeed is called repentance. It's a way of turning around from the path that we would choose for ourselves to follow the path instead that you have for us. So how do we put this to practice today, oh God? I know that these representatives, oh God, are going to encounter opportunities, dilemmas, conflicts, arguments. Well, help them, Lord, to see each one of these through your eyes. Help them to invite you into the conversation. And in that way, Lord, I pray that it be your plan and your will that will be done. Dear Lord, one more maxim comes to my mind, a commandment of the Lord Jesus. In Matthew 6:33, the Lord Jesus says to his disciples, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. First of all, I notice the word first right there, oh God. In other words, the highest of priorities is for us to seek you and to seek your kingdom and your righteousness. And is this not what the founders of this country have done? Think of William Bradford, Lord, who led the Pilgrims, and William Brewster as well, George Washington, John Adams, and the others, Benjamin Rush, Booker T. Washington, and George Carver. Were they not all seeking your will for them, Lord, and seeking your will for the nation? Seeking the kingdom of God and his righteousness. That is certainly what we understand. And Lord, that is our task as well. And then, Lord, I take note of the incredible promise that follows with that mandate, because you yourself gave us this promise that if we seek first the kingdom of God, all these things will be added to you. And what is meant by all things? Well, Lord, after looking at the context of that statement, it would seem clear to me that there's a real convergence between the all things there and part of our own heritage. Somewhere, Lord, I remember reading these words: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And as I think of these all things that you mentioned there, I think there's a real convergence there between what our founders sought: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the all things that you promised you would provide if we seek first the kingdom of God. So, Lord, give us your confidence to stay in the battle, led and supported by the mighty arm of Almighty God Himself. And may we see in our lifetime the work of those representatives in the lives of the next generation. It is in the mighty name of Jesus we lift our prayer to you today. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Hickman. Fellow members and guests, please join me in the salute to our flag. We still have some members that are needing to be finished in our roll call, so make it an abbreviated roll call. Oh, yeah. Keep it to just a couple moments here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a lot and a bunch of stuff to do today, so greet each other, high five across the room, say hey, howdy, hey, and that would be the best, and then we can go ahead and get sat down and get with the business at hand. All right, members, let's go ahead and kind of start bringing her back to our seats, and the chief clerk can go ahead and finish our roll. Hopefully, we haven't lost any members.
It's a little early to start the screaming.
Brady, Bratton, Filer, Knapp, Lucas, Singh, Tarver, Washut, 60 present, 2 excused.
Thank you, chief clerk. Next. Oh, my goodness, let it begin. Representative Thayer,
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
please.
So we have some special day, 2 people, it's special days. One of them looks like she took off and she's hiding. Is she hiding? We have 2 birthdays. We have Marilyn and Trey. And where did Miss Marilyn go? And where is Marilyn? She must have known I was going to do this. There she is.
Okay, for the benefit of all, if Representatives Larson, Lloyd, and our intern, Miss Presley,
Yes.
we've got 3 ladies this
Yay!
morning.
Woo!
So if Representative Brown, could you please come to a microphone? Representative Larson, I think we lose some of the effect by not actually hearing it through the microphone. So could you please go to a microphone and grace us with your pipes? And Representative Brown, loosen up the golden pipes for us, will you? Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Trey. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, ladies, and early birthday, young lady. And thank you guys for allowing the viewing and listening audience the ability to lose their tone and hearing. And so it's wonderful. All right, next on the agenda is, we have a special guest. So we have an announcement. The Wyoming Youth Advisory Council, if I could have their representative come up, and this, yes, introduced by none other than our very own Jenny Gordon. First Lady, Jenny Gordon, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. That is so generous, and you guys sing so remarkably well. I super
You are
impressed with that.
entirely too kind.
Well, good morning, House of Representatives and all staff. I am honored to be here today with a group of young folks that are really doing tremendous stuff in our state, and I wanted to introduce them to you. It is the Wyoming Youth Advisory Council. They're up in the gallery today, and they are working on really advocating, there they are, for the youth. Go ahead, go ahead. And the work they do is really advocating for foster youth in Wyoming, which is really important for our state. So they are here collaborating with state agencies, policymakers, and community stakeholders to take action to support and enhance the foster care system in the state of Wyoming. So honored to be here with them, and I know that you all have their best interests at heart. Thank you for all your work, and have a great Friday.
Thank you, First Lady Gordon. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and to thank you, First Lady. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and let us know all the good things that the Wyoming Youth Advisory Council is doing. And you young people, very professional looking group of young people, and it just encourages us to see you folks and the future of our state in you. So thank you for being here and all that you do as well. Welcome to the House. Journal Committee report.
The Journal Committee reports that the Journal of February 6, 2025 has been read and recommends that it be approved. Representative Posey and Jarvis.
Thank you, Reading Clerk. Our doctor of the day is again Terry Maruso. Our physician, she's in the back there, so hopefully you will have zero business today, but we're glad that you're here. So thank you for being here. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have one other, well, actually two other special events, but the more special event for the House, in my mind, is we get to hear from our intern here, our page, Miss Presley Fitzwater. She's going to give us her farewell address. So, Miss Fitzwater, please.
Is it on? Oh goodness. I can't just. Okay, good morning everyone. I would first like to say that I'm not great at public speaking, but in the process of writing this goodbye speech for you, I remember what was said to me earlier this week. I was challenged with the idea that it isn't about speaking in front of a crowd, but rather the idea of just having something important to say. Thank you, Representative Harrelson, for that, wherever you are. I would first like to say thank you, even though I don't feel as if those words extend amongst the gratitude I feel for this opportunity. In writing this speech last night, I sat in my room unwilling to accept the fact that this week was actually over. Now, as much as I would like to sit up here and thank each of you individually, because believe it or not, you all had a very great impact on my life and this experience, I fear my speech would become as delightful as your budget amendments that I passed out yesterday. I'm walking away knowing I had the experience of a lifetime and leaving with learning so very much, even if it's just from Rick in the back. Thank you to everyone for being so caring to me this week. I will miss all of you, all of the good mornings, all of the fashion talk with Representative Lawley and Weber, but definitely most of all the snacks with Rick. Once again, thank you for this amazing opportunity and the impact each of you made on my life. It was a most special experience. Before I let you guys get on with your day, I just want to let Representative Wiley know that yes, I am still having fun. So much fun that hopefully I will be back next year per Representative Brown's request. So once again, I am so beyond grateful for each of you and the staff that graciously helped me feel right at home. I will miss this extraordinary opportunity every day. Thank you. And what do you guys say here? Play ball? I better turn this off.
Presley, I would have to tell you that it has actually been our great pleasure to be able to have the opportunity to have you share this chamber with us. Every time I've seen you, anywhere you were around here today, you were always smiling, and your effervescent and willingness attitude to help in any way that we needed it, and all of your help for Rick and keeping him lined out in the back of the building has been treasure to us, and you're priceless. So thank you for all you're doing, and the best of luck and blessings on you as you go forward in your career path. So keep making Wyoming proud. Thank you, Presley Fitzwater. We appreciate you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have yet another event this morning, and I'm not sure, are those folks here? I think it's at 10 o'clock. We're going to be recognizing some folks from the Wyoming Men's Cowboy Basketball Program. But until that time, that comes at 10. Next thing we have right now on our agenda currently is our messages from the Senate. None. So next thing we have after that is our reports from our standing committees. None. Well, my goodness, we're moving through. Introduction of Senate files, guess what? None until Monday. Bills on second reading, so we'll hold until we get Representative Brown. Hey, what's going on, Representative Brown? What can you do for us?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privileges of the floor.
Please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my honest and distinct pleasure to serve as your NCSL coordinator, state coordinator for the past 6 years. A couple of weeks ago, we had Mr. Mark Quiner here. Many of you met him in the back or maybe in the speaker's office. I want to extend a serious and heartfelt invitation to you all to reach out to NCSL if you have questions or thoughts on policy and what other states have been doing. In your inbox today is a little bit of a gift, if you will. It's nothing much, but it is something from NCSL. It was brought to me, and I had it delivered to you guys this morning, so make sure you check your inbox there. But one of the biggest things that I can tell you guys there is that being a nonpartisan group, they really focus on trying to take any idea that you have, letting you know what the information is from all the other states and places that have tried to do the same type of policy, whether it's worked or not, what the impacts were. NCSL has been an invaluable source to me, and I would highly, highly recommend you guys start reaching out to them. We pay membership dues as a body, and it would behoove of us to make sure that we use that. So if you have any questions, you guys need any guidance when you guys are trying to work with NCSL, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will always make sure I get you guys in contact with the right person or show you how to navigate the website to find that right person. But I just want to make sure that you guys all are aware and keep that NCSL frame of mind to know that they are here to help us and we pay those dues, so let's use them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at that order of business of bills on second reading. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 81. Reading clerk.
House Bill 81, sponsored by Representative Yin, regulatory reduction, mortgage loan originator licensing, and act relating to trade and commerce.
House Bill 81 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 209.
House Bill 209, sponsored by Representative Knapp, reliable and dispatchable low carbon standards repeal and act relating to public utilities.
House Bill 209 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 211.
House Bill 211, sponsored by Representative Alamend, hunting wildlife from vehicles and act relating to game and fish.
House Bill 211 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 219.
House Bill 219, sponsored by Representative Locke, county and municipal roads on state lands, easements granted, and act relating to state lands.
House Bill 219 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 228.
House Bill 228, sponsored by Representative Knapp, prohibition on private funds for conducting elections and act relating to elections.
House Bill 228 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objections, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 234.
House Bill 234, sponsored by Representative Alamend. Second Amendment Financial Privacy Act amendments and act relating to protection of constitutional rights.
House Bill 234 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill number 264.
House Bill 264, sponsored by Representative Singh. Central bank digital currencies, prohibitions, and act relating to the administration of government.
House Bill 264 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, It is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 299.
House Bill 299, sponsored by Representative Posey. Online sports wagering amendments, an act relating to gaming.
We have amendments. Representative Lloyd, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 299. Members, if you look on your bill, when we talked about geofencing yesterday, the good presenter of the bill noted that we try and identify the lands that are inhabited by the Northern Arapaho tribe and the Eastern Shoshone tribe, and trying to figure that out. We got an email from the tribes and their attorneys, and they, in defining what lands are best represented, they suggested that we conform with the Federal Register and refer to them as Indian lands as defined by 25 USC 27034, and that's what this amendment does.
Thank you, Representative. Any other members for their first time? First time on the amendment. First time done? Second time? Bringer? We good? Question being called. Members, you're being asked to vote on second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 299. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. House Bill 299 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 294.
House Bill 294, sponsored by Representative Baer. Federal mining royalties, distribution amendments, an act relating to state funds.
House Bill 294 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 311.
House Bill 311, sponsored by Representative Locke. Exemption for transported fuel and power sales amendments, an act relating to taxation and revenue.
House Bill 311 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 320.
House Bill 320, sponsored by Representative Storer. Taxation and Revenue Task Force 2028, an act relating to the administration of government.
House Bill 320 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill and last bill for our consideration, House Bill 323.
House Bill 323, sponsored by Representative Wasserberger. SNAP benefits, waiver request, an act relating to welfare.
House Bill 323 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Representative Lawley. Oh, yes. Our folks that we're going to be recognizing are here, so we probably don't want to start into this before we let them go ahead and get that done. Is there any other privileges of the floor or anything like that the person would want to do right quick before that happens? And I think they're getting ready to enter here. Representative Washut, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since we have a moment, just to remind the body that next Monday at 8 o'clock, your committee number 1 will hear a briefing from the Wyoming Highway Patrol. Some of the members who went down to the southwest border in Texas on assignment from the chief executive will be giving us a briefing about what they experienced down there. And I think it might be very worthwhile. If you don't have other pressing issues on Monday morning, please feel free to join committee number 1 for that briefing.
Thank you, Representative Washut. Okay, here come our folks. Representatives, joining us this morning is Sundance Wicks, the 23rd head coach of the University of Wyoming men's cowboy basketball program. A native of Gillette, Wicks previously served as the assistant coach of Wyoming from 2020 to 2023 and last year as head coach. led Wisconsin Green Bay to one of the most remarkable single-season turnarounds in college basketball history. He is deeply honored to represent Wyoming and the Cowboys, bringing him boundless energy and a profound understanding of our state's pride. Please join me in welcoming Coach Wicks to the House.
Too kind. Thank you. That is it's the best welcome I've gotten in a while, so thank you. Thank you, Speaker of the House Nyman, and distinguished members of the House. This is exciting for me, to be honest with you. It's an honor. And as you know, my name is Sundance Wicks. I'm a native of Gillette, Wyoming, and I am the head coach of the University of Wyoming men's basketball program. Yes, yes. A Gillette native, right? And I'm living my dream as a Wyoming Cowboy, which it can't get any better than that. Coming from the dirt roads of Gillette, Wyoming, 426 Forest Road, humble beginnings. Mom was an educator for 42 years, and Dad is a painter, painted houses. And I'm here today to speak to you about the importance of your team, the importance of tradition, and the importance of dreams. See, I believe that man lives and dies by traditions and dreams. Nothing roots us more in a place than tradition. It tells us who we are, where we came from, who we root for, and more importantly, what we stand for. It connects our generations, those who came before us and those who will come after us. However, tradition alone isn't enough, because traditions without dreams is just history. If tradition is what gives us direction, then it is the dreams that fuel our drive for the journey ahead. The blessing of being raised in Wyoming comes from the gifts the state gives us. It gives us the gift of grit, tenacity, and toughness, and it provides us with a rare resilience that only Wyoming folk understand. And we call that here being cowboy tough. See, being cowboy tough connects us. It's modeled across homes in the state. It's modeled in the workplace. It's also modeled on a national scale by your home team. The cowboys and cowgirls on the gridiron, the wrestling mat, the rodeo arena, and on the basketball court. Wyoming athletics allows our state tradition of being cowboy tough to transcend our borders and show the rest of America what it means to be a cowboy or a cowgirl. Wyoming athletics scales our folk pride in unmeasurable ways. I've spent the last 20 years of my life living in 8 different states, pursuing my passion of coaching, leading, teaching, mentoring, and experiencing the curveballs that life throws at you, while never losing my sight of one day becoming a Wyoming cowboy, the dream of becoming a Wyoming cowboy. It was through the tradition of Wyoming athletics that I stayed engaged with the state of Wyoming, just like so many Wyoming residents and so many University of Wyoming alumnus still do to this day. It was through Wyoming athletics that my dream gained enough steam to one day become back home and represent my home state with my hometown pride. And now it is Wyoming athletics that affords me the opportunity to help other Wyoming kids dream of one day becoming a cowboy or cowgirl. If we want our sons and our daughters, our Mason Drubes of Gillette, our Logan Wilsons of Casper, our Allison Fertigs of Glendo, our Marcus Baileys of Cheyenne, to stay connected to Wyoming, to stay here in this great state, to build their futures here, raise their families here, then we need to keep giving them a tradition worth fighting for and foster dreams that challenge them to become the best versions of themselves, the toughest versions of themselves. What we can achieve through athletics is far greater than a championship. It's the creation of a self-sufficient, productive citizen of society. It's the creation of a championship human. It's the creation of a cowboy tough culture that lives on in our great state. I want to thank all of you for your commitment to your home team, for your commitment to the University of Wyoming, to the Cowboys and Cowgirls, and to the traditions and dreams that are the fuel for the next generation to think bigger, work harder, and push farther. It's an honor to be here. Go Pokes.
Coach Wicks, thank you for your commitment to Wyoming. We wish you all the best, and yes, go Pokes. I hate to do that to you guys in this other alley, but I mean, you guys get all the goodie all the time. Every time somebody comes and does an assembly, they just dive right down this. So I have to kind of get over here so we can kind of balance the ability to get everybody to get in on the fun. So, all right, next thing for our agenda, moving on to third reading. Representative Lawley, please, if you want to make your way back over here, we will be up and going. We are at that order of business of bills on third reading and final passage. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 72. Reading clerk.
House Bill 72, sponsored by Representative Lawley, Protecting Women's Privacy and Public Spaces Act, an act relating to the administration of government, being enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Representative Lawley, you have amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 72 and ask for your favorable consideration. This goes back to a discussion we had, I think, 2 days ago, where the good representative from our capital city brought up an issue he spoke about school sports, but when he sent me the email concerning from his constituent, it really had to do with a different situation, which is club sports that might use public facilities. So what this amendment does is add the same paragraph we have regarding the schools into the public facilities as well, that says this: changing areas, restrooms, or sleeping quarters that have been temporarily designated for use by that person's sex. So it does give these facilities the ability to make those redesignations temporarily as different sports teams come in and use those facilities that are not school-related, but are these separate private club sports that will use often public facilities to have their competition. So that's what the amendment does, and I ask for favorable consideration.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any members for their first time? First time? Second time? Representative Lawley. Question being called. Members, you're being asked to vote on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 72. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. And I believe that is it. No, yeah, that is. So, House Bill 72, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellamand? Andrew, excused. Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown, Gary? Brown, Landon? Byron? Campbell, Elisa? Campbell, Kevin? Chestick? Clouston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund? Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haraldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Sherwood? Singh? Singh? Smith? Storer? Strock? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Mr. Speaker. Are there any changes? Singh, excused to aye. Further changes? Further changes. Closing vote? Vote closed. 52 aye, 8 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 72, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 72 has passed the House. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 202. Reading clerk.
House Bill 202, sponsored by Representative Filer. Fast Track Permits Act, an act relating to city, county, state, and local powers being enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
We have amendments. Representative Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to the Committee of the Whole, third reading amendment, House Bill 202, and ask for your considerable consideration. If you look at the amendment, I'm just deleting the enactment clause. First of all, I want to thank the bringer of this bill and his thoughts on this. Pro-business and pro-development. I'm just concerned that one size does not fit all, and asking that this body keep it at the local level. Each community will be impacted differently due to the staffing levels of requirements of this bill and time-changing existing city ordinances. I ask for a favorable consideration.
Any other members for the first time? Representative Filer, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I did talk to the bringer of this amendment here this morning and was very pleased to bring up some of those possible concerns that her municipality may have. Folks, local control has been the rule forever. And we've allowed local control in this body. We've allowed these commissioners, these planners, these city municipalities, these city councils to make ordinances and rules and all these different things that pertain to our everyday lives. But when it gets to a point where a large populace comes together and says, hey, we got this problem with our local municipalities, and when it comes to building permits or any other thing, but the local municipality refuses to act. That puts us in a bind. It's where we have to do something at the state level in order to get something done at a local level. So folks, this problem that has been created with building permits and planning departments and all that has been created by our local governments. It's not been created by this body. I'm just here to try to help fix it and streamline it and making it uniform, because we've heard the questions and concerns from our developers, our builders, our residential folks that want to just build the garage or a shed in their backyard, right? We've heard from them. And when they go to their local municipality, rules are rules, right? That's what they get told. This is our process. If you don't like it, oh well. There's no way for the applicant or that person that wants to build something on their property. There is no due process in this process. And our local municipalities have created this. So if they're not willing to fix it, and if you noticed all the way through this bill, the only person that stood up and said, we do not like this is the local government. It's not your neighbor saying we don't like this. It's not the contractor who's wanting to build some affordable housing. They're not saying they don't like this bill. The only one that is the local municipalities, and there was no room for change except for to pretty much delete it. Get rid of it. We don't like the meat of the bill. Do not change our processes. Do not make us be more efficient. Folks, that's what we do in this body, is sometimes we have to, and I don't like to use the word regulate, but sometimes we have to regulate to deregulate. And that's what this bill does, is tells these municipalities and these building departments that, hey, you have to be working with these applicants and not have their fate in just your hands. There has to be some due process to make this a lot more streamlined and better for both parties. So there was a concern that the bringer of this amendment brought to me today, that their planning department has one person that does all this. And you know, these timelines might not work, right? Well, here's my hope to that municipality. I'm hoping that we pass this bill and tell everybody that Wyoming is open for business. We want you to bring your projects to Wyoming. We want you to employ our people, and we're going to pull a bunch more permits to where we can afford to maybe put somebody else in that seat over there and get them the relief they need, because they're going to be busy. So folks, on and against this amendment and on and for this bill, let's push this, let's get it over to this other body. Let's let's keep working this through because this is something that does affect every one of our communities when we are talking about economic growth and affordable housing, and all those different things our constituents were talking about. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Filer. Any members for the first time? Representative Davis for his first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Not that I disagree with your bill. I think there's merit in this bill, but I have to look at my particular district in particular, where we have 10 municipalities that are going through one zoning area. And we have restrictions on funds that are available to run our zoning areas. So this mandate brings additional, frictions for our local government there. So that's why I will have to be a no on this, even though I agree with you in principle.
Representative Campbell, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Much like our previous speakers, truly appreciate the intent. The challenge I have is when the state mandates a process, but yet ultimate responsibility and liability lies with the local authority. So it's our cities, it's our towns, it's our counties in terms of permitting, in terms of inspections, in terms of, code compliance. They're the ones ultimately responsible. And we're tying their hands. So that doesn't seem okay. If we mandate processes and assume the liability, that would be one thing. But we're tying their hands and we're leaving the responsibility with them. And that doesn't seem okay.
Representative Wasberger, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, as far as the concerns that have been addressed that I've just heard here recently, there's already an explanation in the bill on those type of issues about constraining if 10 days is just not doable. There's already a process in there that allows them to give writing why they can't do it in that timely manner. So the concerns that have been brought up on this, it's already addressed in the bill. And so I'd like to ask you to vote no on the amendment and yes on the bill.
Other members, Representative Chestik for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Along the lines of what's been said before, I am not a one-size-fits-all kind of guy. I do like local control, and I think that the more we try and impose mandates on local governments, we don't account for staff sizes in different localities and different processes and procedures. I don't know why we need uniformity here. There are some situations where uniformity is useful, but I don't see the need for uniformity in this arena, so I would urge a no vote on the bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Gehringer for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and in favor of this bill, I guess I might have to push back a little bit on this being such a tough mandate. Really, what we're trying to say here is that we recognize that there's an issue with some of the timeliness that happens on getting these projects approved, and it's not so much about controlling exactly how you do the process. It's just asking for a timely process through this decision making. It's not saying you can and can't do all of these different things. It's just saying, let's get it done quickly, folks. It's not an impossible task.
Representative Lawley for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come from a very rural county, and for my constituents, this is putting burdens on our local government that we aren't asking for, that we don't need. And so that's my concern, is it's entering a space where we're very small, we have very little staff in our government. We run very lean in Washakie County. I've mentioned before, we're a hardship county. And so this just puts a mandate on us that we're not asking for. And that's my biggest thing. It is about local control, but it's particularly about trying to control something in a very small county that is not needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Storer for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would echo the last comments. As we are working towards reducing the the revenues and resources that our local governments have. At the same time, this bill puts a huge burden on those same entities. Ultimately, what this bill will result in is just the denial of permits. If the counties can't provide this in the fashion that the bill requires, they will just deny it. And then we'll go to court. There are so many other better ways to approach this issue than what this bill requires. So I ask for you to defeat it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Others, Representative Ottman, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having worked for a builder at one point and in different capacities with permitting and infrastructure and different things, one of the things that I noticed was that there was such a lockstep trying to get one body to okay something while waiting on another. And and I could go on and on and on. But what I will say is that if this bill will help to streamline the process and help people to redo their policies in their offices, I would vote no on the amendment and yes on the bill.
Representative Wiley, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Great concerns brought by the bringer of the amendment. Question to the bringer of the bill. I believe the way the legislation is written, all the communities have to do is give timely notice if there's a problem with safety or design or anything. So this is going to take the relief and some of that pressure off of these smaller communities that are having trouble, going through it and making sure it's safe. But what is so hard about timely notice? It's writing a letter.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? First time. Seeing none, second time on the amendment. No one rushing. Representative Filer, do you want to? Representative Filer, second time.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. And I understand the scariness of building permits. Woo. Honestly, Mr. Speaker, I didn't think we was going to debate this bill this much, but I mean, obviously it's a touchy point when we got other municipalities and places like that where they're like throwing their arms up, Maybe this has been hidden even from our local elected officials. This has been hidden for a long time. Maybe they don't understand the process, how it works in their own building departments, right? This bill holds these building departments accountable. This bill holds the applicant accountable. This bill has all these concerns that everybody has said already in it, in writing. It's in the bill. It says in writing, and we will all agree. When we say we all agree, this is telling the applicant and the municipality that you, as the applicant, are agreeing to something they may or may not be mandating on your own private property. That's why we have to be in an agreement. That's why we have those protections in there to where both parties or all parties have to come together and actually discuss the project and not just be all the power held to the municipality. I understand that municipalities have ordinances and different building codes and all these different things, and contractors and property owners alike understand that. We understand that we have variances and ordinances and all these different things, but the one thing that is definitely not uniform and makes any developer or anybody that's building something the biggest hiccup, there's something that's not uniform, and that is the fact of how long is it going to take to get my project started? Do we know? We don't. Because right now the municipalities hold all that power. So if you want to go build a new house and you want to make sure that your family's in there by Christmas, well, you better cross your fingers because we don't know. Because the municipality could say, well, we're not going to look at that today. We're not set on any timeline. We can wait for as long as we want. That is not fair to the applicant. That is not fair to the property owner. We have to, as applicants, follow every single rule that they put in front of us. We have to fill out our paperwork. Every bit of it has to be perfect, dang near to where I've seen people have to get attorneys to pull a building permit for a shed. It's too complex. There's not enough communication. And this is obviously a problem when we have other municipalities jumping up going, whoa, 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 wait, right? So it's obviously a problem. Let's make it uniform. That way, no matter what, wherever you build in this state, you know your processes, you know your timelines. And those municipalities know that they're gonna have to actually talk to that applicant. They're gonna have to have that line of communication open. Because at the end of the day, it's our property, it's our money. It's not the municipalities, and we pay them for this service. And we should demand a good service just like they demand from us. So on and against this amendment and for the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Thayer.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw the amendment.
The amendment has to be withdrawn, barring any objection from the body. No objection, the amendment is withdrawn. House Bill 202, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand. Andrew, excused. Angelos. Banks. Bear. Brady. Bratton. Brown, Gary. Brown, Landon. Byron. Campbell, Elisa. Campbell, Kevin. Chestick. Clouston. Connolly. Davis. Eklund. Erickson. Filer. Geringer. Guggenmoss. Haraldson. Harshman. Heiner. Heft. Jarvis. Johnson. Kelly. Repeat. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Lean. Locke. Lucas. McCann. Nicholas. Ottman. Pendergraft. Posey. Provenza. Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams. Schmid. Sherwood. Singh. Smith. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Thayer. Washut. Wasserberger. Webb. Weber. Wharf. Williams. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Mr. Speaker, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 40 aye, 20 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 202, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 202 has passed the House. Next bill for our consideration will be House Bill 245. Reading clerk.
House Bill 245, sponsored by Representative Knapp. Pen and paper ballots, an act relating to elections being enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
We have no amendments, so House Bill 245, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand. Andrew, excused. Angelos. Banks. Bear. Brady. Bratton. Brown, Gary. Brown, Landon. Byron. Campbell, Elisa. Campbell, Kevin. Chestick. Clouston. Connolly. Davis. Eklund. Erickson. Filer. Geringer. Guggenmoss. Haraldson. Harshman. Heiner. Heft. Jarvis. Johnson. Kelly. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Lean. Locke. Lucas. McCann. Nicholas. Ottman. Pendergraft. Posey. Repeat. Provenza. Riggins excused. Rodriguez Williams. Schmid. Sherwood. Singh. Smith. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Thayer. Washut. Wasserberger. Webb. Weber. Worf. Williams. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 44 aye, 16 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 245, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 245 has passed the House. Next bill for our consideration, House Bill 273. Reading clerk.
House Bill 273, sponsored by Representative Rodriguez Williams. Wyoming Pregnancy Centers, Autonomy and Rights, an act relating to public health and safety, being enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
We have some amendments. Representative Chestic with the first amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 273. Members, all this amendment does is it tries to keep the legislature in its own lane. I wish to delete from page 11, lines 8 through 11, just the paragraph B that gives the legislature the right to intervene in any lawsuit dealing with the constitutionality of this bill. My problem with this is that it completely obliterates the separation of powers of the 3 branches in both directions. Typically, whether a party is allowed to intervene in a case as a party is a matter of discretion for the court. The court decides whether that person or entity has a sufficient interest distinct from the interests of other people, and the court makes a decision, and just having the legislature simply decree that we do have that interest is problematic. But the bigger problem, I think, is how it sets us up against, potentially, against the executive branch. It is the job of the executive branch and the senior attorney of this state to defend bills. If there's a constitutional challenge to any bill that we adopt, it is the job of the executive branch, always has been, and it properly is, up to the senior attorney and the governor and the senior executive of our state to defend it. If we disagree with that, if we have an intervener, the state no longer has a single voice in defending or resisting the litigation. We're creating a potential for a fractured defense. And basically we're saying we don't trust the executive to do what we want. We're trying to take over the executive's job, saying we want to defend it and take that executive function over and put it here in the legislature. The big problem that I see, though, is on line 8 of the bill, the intervention is done, quote, by legislative order. What is a legislative order? The bill is, we speak with one voice. We speak through the bill. That's how we speak. Individual members of this body don't speak for the body. We speak with our votes on the floor here, and when the vote happens, whichever side wins, that's the position. Even though many of us may disagree with it, it is the vote that counts, and not some intervener. We don't know who they are. One or more members speaking for the body by a legislative order. Who gives that legislative order? How is that done? It's not clear. It's very fuzzy. It tramples on the separation of powers in many ways, and I therefore ask for your favorable consideration on this amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Any members? Representative Rodriguez-Williams, Chairman Williams, for the first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and opposed to the amendment. So the right to intervene in this bill is essentially for legislators to be allowed, if they choose to intervene, as defendants in a lawsuit if the bill were challenged. We've seen this play out in court in our state. Legislators would do so to defend law they had an interest in. For an example, a bill that they helped pass. It's not how it's been represented. It's not, this piece isn't in there to tell the courts what to do. It's not in there to muddy the judicial branch or the process. They would simply be like any other party to litigation, but they wouldn't have to seek the court's permission to get involved in the case. So it would be an opportunity to show intent of the legislation that's been passed and clear up any misconceptions or misperceptions that perhaps a one-sided court would be dealing with. On and against.
Thank you, Representative. Any other members for their first time? The mics are filling up. Representative Larson, for your first time.
So I've listened to the two arguments there, and I'm not sure that I understand. Typically, if I understand correctly, you get standing if you're being impacted by the law and that it's adversely impacting you. And if I understand correctly from the sponsor of the bill, is this merely gives the legislators the right to have access into the court to present legislative intent. But that could also be a legislator who thought that the bill had the wrong legislative intent. If I'm understanding that correct, it just says any legislator who wants to now can participate in this exercise, this legal exercise, which is outside the normal structure of court proceedings. And so more than anything, I think it's giving an uncomfortable deference to the legislature to have access to the courts that we perhaps wouldn't normally be allowed. And so if I'm misunderstanding that, would one of you please help me do that? Because I'm trying to refine that in my mind a little bit.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Nicholas, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On in favor of the amendment, ladies and gentlemen. So a legislator, individual, cannot go to the court and testify about legislative intent from that person's experience on the floor of the House. It just doesn't work that way. And to suggest that that should be okay is a fundamental abuse of the court process and what we do here on the legislature. So legal interpretation of the language and the intent of a legislative bill can only be derived from the actual words within the statute that we write. And that is written in law and in stone, and it is so important because if any legislature could walk into any court and say, this is what we meant. Well, probably 60 of us could get up and say, no, that's not right. This is what we meant. No, that's not what we meant. And then the senators would come in and say, no, that's not what we meant. And that's happened in the past. And that's why we have the laws that we have here today. There is no it just completely turns jurisprudence upside down if for some reason just simply because we happen to be an individual in the legislature, would have automatic standing in the court of law. It's just unheard of. It's probably quite unconstitutional because it's a separation of the two powers. But just imagine the amounts of comments that would turn into, and then it would turn the courtroom into a Peyton place. It really would, ladies and gentlemen, because particularly when it happens to be a bill that is emotionally driven, that is a socially driven concept versus the simple things of operations of government, because we could argue all day over it. So, on and against, and in favor of the amendment.
Representative Yin.
So, Mr. Speaker, thank you. So, members, the way it's written in the bill is that it has to be a legislative order, and the legislature may appoint one or more members. So, it's probably unlikely that the legislature would appoint members on both sides to be a party to the suit. What my concern is that it could be, it will be a legislature in the future. So it might not even include any members in here that would pass the bill. So, you think about the turnover that happened just in the 6 years. So if this goes to court in 6 years from now, who does the legislature appoint? It has to be a member of the body. They appoint someone who wasn't here. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Representative Provenza, your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the legislature is going to be able to intervene in pregnancy resource centers. Let me walk you through the definition of pregnancy center. Pregnancy center means a private nonprofit organization that promotes childbirth and alternatives to abortion and provides women, children, and families with resources, counseling, classes, referrals, and so on. A medical pregnancy center may provide medical testing, counseling, and pregnancy-related care. What this definition is lacking is, at least what I understand from the intent of the bill, it's lacking anything that says that I can't provide abortions. It says that that it promotes childbirth and alternatives to abortion, but it doesn't restrict me from saying, okay, here are some alternatives. I'm giving you diapers, I'm giving you food, I'm giving you these other things. But it doesn't tell me that I can't provide abortion. So by the definition, I can start a pregnancy resource center and I can help people get abortions. And then the legislature gets to go defend me. Careful with your words, friends. You want to vote no on this bill.
Representative Ottman for your first time.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll get back on the amendment. This bill is a good bill. It is promoting services within our communities. The people that work in those positions, in those centers, are people that are interviewed. They are chosen by a board. There is a board, in fact. The services that they provide are for education. Different centers do different things. But what I will say is that this is a good bill. It is a bill that will help to define and protect these centers, and I would ask for your vote, yes.
Any other representatives for their first time? First time? No other representatives? Representative Connolly, first time.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning, Representative Connolly. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Glad to have you. Please proceed.
I'm just happy to be here too.
Well, aren't we all? There you go.
This is fun. And so on this bill, I would support this bill, but I do have a concern about that piece in the bill. So it's a tough one for me, so I guess I would support it, but I think the amendment might make it a little better. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Connolly. Representative Bear for your first time.
First, for a second.
First for a
Speaker.
second. Any other members for their first time? Any other members? Seeing none, any members for their second time? Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to push back gently for a moment from those who have said that this will turn jurisprudence upside down. I think it's incumbent upon this body, as we are lawmakers, to create law and create opportunities to defend the laws that we create. I don't think that as this statute or this bill is written, it crosses the line between the powers of different branches of this government. Because nothing in this bill states that a judge or a jury has to do anything differently. It only allows members of this body in a particular way to be engaged in that process and to defend the work that we do here. It's been stated that we depend upon the executive to do that for us. And we have challenged that in many ways over the last few years in bills that we have brought to give ourselves an opportunity to participate in what that third branch does. And I think it's incumbent upon us to assert our power as one of the co-equal branches. So on and for the bill and on and against the amendment.
Thank you. Any other members for their second time? Representative Williams for his second time, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the good representative that just spoke from Coal Country. I'll just rein it in a little bit. It's not uncommon over the past couple of years to see the same attempts made over and over and over from this body when it comes to life-affirming legislation to try to remove findings, to try to remove definitions, to try to remove the right to intervene. Let's keep this bill whole, on and against the amendment for the bill.
Any other members for their second time? Before I go back to the bringer. Representative Nicholas for your second time.
So a couple interesting things. The body, let's just take the words from the last speaker. The right of this body to assert our power over the courts. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not how this works. We write the laws, the courts interpret them. If we don't like the way they interpret them, then we change them and we modify them. That's the process. To have a Mickey Mouse of, and how's this going to function? Is this body or management council or a senate or a group going to say, we appoint you, Mr. Sheriff of the Appropriations Committee, to go talk to court and tell him what everything's going on and what our power is? That doesn't work. How do we have a consensus of what's even going to be said? And how are we going to send someone up there to tell the court what the constitutionality is or isn't of a bill? Probably ought to have a lawyer at least do it. But our bill itself tells the court what we want it to say and what we believe is unconstitutional and what we think a good law is. The separation of powers is the courts determine that based upon the language within the statute. And we don't want to walk away from that. And we don't want to have every courtroom turn into a Mickey Mouse of legislators jumping up and saying, hey, this isn't what we meant. It just wouldn't work, ladies and gentlemen. On in favor of the amendment.
Other members for their second time? Any other members for their second time? Before I go back to the bringer. Seeing none, back to the bringer. Representative Chestik, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Great discussion. I just want to point out that the way Section B is worded, it gives members, unknown members, the right to intervene. There's a difference between intervening and filing an amicus brief. An intervention means if the state of Wyoming is the defendant and you intervene on the side of the, you become a defendant. You have a right to participate in the direction of the lawsuit. You can have discovery. You're a party to the lawsuit. And you're putting the legislature as a party separate from the state which doesn't make any sense because we're part of the state. We don't control the state. We're one branch of government. So we need to let the chief executive who represents the state and the chief attorney, they need to do their jobs, and we can't look over their shoulders and say, we don't like the way you're doing your job. The good minority leader made a great point, that this legislature has a particular view of this bill. What if the control of the body changes in the future? Are we going to give that future legislature the right to say, we disagree with the prior legislature, and therefore we're going to undermine the bill that they passed? Do you want to give the future legislature that power by intervening as a defendant in these cases? I don't think you do. So I urge an aye vote on this amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Body, you are being asked to make a decision on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 273. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The amendment has not been adopted. Next amendment let's see. Yeah, we'll take a quick break. We got some very special people up in our North Gallery that would like to be recognized. Mr. Larson, JT, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor.
By all means.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Members in our North Gallery, every year, and just hold your applause till I go through all the names, but every year, the Wyoming Association of Community College Trustees, in partnership with the Wyoming Business Alliance, like to recognize students at our community colleges for their outstanding work in academics. And so each community college gets a student selects a student to submit to the Wyoming Association of Community College Trustees for Student of the Year. And so I'll go through each student and then we'll give them a round of applause and they'll stand up in the gallery so we can recognize them. So first, Katie Baumstark with Casper College, a degree in kinesiology. Taylor Coleman, Sheridan College, Early Education. Thay Farrington with Northwest College, Professional Studies. Tyler McMillan with Western Wyoming Community College, Nursing. Cooper Phillips, Eastern Wyoming College, Agriculture. Lindsay Stewart, Central Wyoming College, Regenerated Farming. Miranda Unwin, Laramie County Community College, Arts. And Michaela Yelenich with Gillette College, Education. Give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Representative Larson, and welcome to the House. And how interesting and how diverse a group of career choices. And we appreciate you all being here, and we do appreciate our community colleges and all your efforts in helping to educate our next generation. So please, by all means, ladies and gentlemen, keep up the good work, and thank you for the quality of the students we get to recognize here in the chamber today. So welcome to the House. Next amendment for our consideration to House Bill 273. Representative Campbell, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading Amendment 2 to House Bill 273.
You go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. And you will see, yes, this is a delete enacting clause. So here's I've been struggling with this one for the last couple of days. More so, I think, than other bills. Primarily because we have now, this will be the second bill that as a legislative body we have passed, potentially, where we are stepping into the private sector and determining who wins and who loses. With House Bill 42, we said it's okay for us to step in and regulate these entities. And now with House Bill 273, we're saying, you know what? We're going to protect them and provide them immunity. These are private businesses, private nonprofit businesses. That is my first challenge. Second challenge, in the last 10 years, I personally have served as the executive director, served on the board of 4 nonprofit organizations. I have also started and owned 3 businesses. 4 nonprofits, 3 businesses. So now imagine, years later, serving as a representative in our state legislature, I propose a bill to protect and provide immunity to one of my either nonprofit or businesses. The optics on that look bad. Because now, as a legislature, I can step in and say, you know what, this cause, this organization, this business is important to me, so I will use my position as a legislator to enact a bill to protect them. This, please don't misunderstand, as far as our pregnancy centers, we have maybe a handful throughout Wyoming. And I absolutely appreciate the work they do. I absolutely appreciate the services they provide to our communities. I absolutely support every single one of those people that work for our pregnancy centers and how important their role is. What bothers me is that we are using our position as legislators to step into private arena and say, these are the ones that we will go after and these are the ones that we will protect. Or even saying, this is an organization important to me, so I'm going to bring a bill to protect it. That is not okay and just feels really gross to me. And I imagine the optics are not going to look good on this legislative body, and that bothers me a great deal. So absolutely, on and against this bill, and I would hope you give it some considerable thought as to what this bill is asking us to do. And I respectfully withdraw my amendment.
You'll have to allow the rest of the debate. You can withdraw it at the end, but that's okay. Any members, give them a chance to visit about this. Representative Bear, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second.
Thank you. First for a second. Representative Angelos for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do want to address, we are a pro-life state. This body, the majority of this body has passed pro-life legislation. We protect life. We also protect entities that protect life. And we have seen an onslaught from a very hostile administration who has gone after and targeted centers that focus on pro-life, gone after and targeted individuals who have stood for life and have been imprisoned. We saw them pardoned 2 weeks ago. So yes, there are institutions that we stand up and say, we are going to protect them. I would say that our religious institutions are under attack. Specifically, they have been as well. And I would like to see legislation brought to protect them. So we do need to protect them. We are a pro-life state. We do protect our entities and our nonprofits that protect that.
Representative Eklund for your first time.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if I've ever got up and talked on this issue before, but I can share some history with the body. There aren't many of us that can from 14, 15 years ago. I'm pro-life. I'm guessing everybody knows that. My constituents know it. Some are pro-choice, some are pro-life, but they put up with me on my stand on the unborn. 14 years ago, we couldn't pass a piece of legislation that let a woman know that she was entitled to a free ultrasound. We couldn't pass something as simple as that. So if you're wondering why this pendulum has swung so far one way or another, that's probably the reason why the state, I don't know if the state of Wyoming is pro-life. I think it is, and I think the body that represents it is. But we have a lot of pro-choice people out there, and I think they need to understand why we have so many pro-life bills coming along. That's just part of the history. And now the pendulum swung the other way, and I'm going to be an aye on this vote. I'm guessing it's not perfect. We don't do perfect work here. We do it, and then we fix it next year, whatever we've missed. Hopefully, this isn't a big mess, but I'm going to vote aye on the thing and let it go on by, and hopefully we don't send it to the courts and get it caught there. But we probably, all in all, pro-life people, we better be careful, because we passed a bill that basically said we're in charge of our own health care, and that's being used against us in the main pro-life bill that we've got in the court system right now. But I'm an aye, a no on the amendment, aye on the bill.
Representative Pendergraft for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for the bill, I would echo a comment made just now. Nothing that we do is perfect. But I think that the reason that I'm an aye on this bill is to begin to push back against years of what I see as a relegation of our legislative branch. We cede regularly to the executive the responsibility to promulgate rules. And we allow them to go out and do what we ought to be doing ourselves. We allow the judiciary at times to legislate from the bench and say nothing. And I just think it's time that we began to stand up for our particular position in the hierarchy of this nation and of this state. And so I'm an aye on this bill.
Any other representatives for their first time? Representative Rodriguez-Williams for your first time, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to address the comment made by the, first of all, on and against the amendment. And I want to address one of the comments that the amendment sponsor mentioned that I believe is clearly pointed to me, as she describes as icky, and portraying that there's some sort of conflict of interest. I'm well aware, Mr. Speaker, of our Ethics and Disclosure Act that we all abide by. I have not, just for the record, worked for a pregnancy resource center since 2022. So there's no conflict. I don't volunteer for one. Do I support them? Absolutely. Did I sign the resolution that supported them last year in this body? Yes, absolutely. So I want to clear up any rumors that are out there, and I want to clear up that little icky feeling as well. On and for the bill, on and opposed to the amendment.
Representative Thayer for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too am pro-life, and I think that the pregnancy centers are very needed. My concern on this bill, if giving an aye vote, would be setting a precedence of supporting and granting immunity to over 3,500 nonprofits in this state. There's 3,500 nonprofits, and my concern is not of the pregnancy center, it's the verbiage about granting immunity. Thank you.
Any other representative for their first time? No one second time. On the bill, on the amendment. Representative Baer, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we heard comments about it being gross. We heard comments that one particular person has a great background in different things. And I would just say that everyone in this room, everyone on this floor has qualifications that make them an important part of this body. We can come up to the mic and we can talk about all of our accomplishments, but I doubt that it really makes much difference in any one of our minds, because each one of us has accomplished great things in order to be here. Just getting elected to represent your district is a great accomplishment. All the degrees in the world don't make you an expert in some fields. But I will say this, that we have an obligation to protect the most vulnerable amongst us. And that's what this bill does. I think that that's what this amendment purports to deny. And we have a responsibility. As the bringer, or the gentleman, the former chair of appropriation or of agriculture, gave us a bit of history about the pendulum swing. That pendulum could swing the other way. And this statute, if it becomes a statute, if this bill becomes a statute, it could be overturned. Or, as one of the previous speakers said, the definition of what is a pregnancy center could be adjusted to allow just the opposite of what we want. But that's what we do as a body. And hopefully, based on the outcome of elections, we represent the people of this state. I think right now we represent them more than maybe we have in a few decades. And so I think that this is appropriate. This is something that the people want. I know my constituents, the vast majority of them, want this. So on and for the bill, on and against the amendment.
Any other members for their second time? Seeing none, nobody to the bringer of the amendment. Representative Campbell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I truly appreciate the time and just the additional debate as we talk this one through. For me, this isn't a pro-life bill. If it were, I wouldn't be standing here arguing against it. It's more than that. It's the role we are asking government to play in the private sector and determining who we will protect and who we will not protect, who we will mandate, how they run their business, and who we will mandate we won't. We won't touch your business. It's not about public safety. It's not about public wellness. That's not what this bill is about. So that is the challenge I have. There are ordinances, statutes already in place to protect individuals, to protect individual businesses from, harassment and being threatened and being pursued in a hateful manner. Those are already on the books. That's not what this bill does. This says we will protect you and we will grant you immunity. That crosses a line for me. What other organizations do we do that for? Whether they're private for-profit or private nonprofit. What other organizations do we do that for? We don't, because it's not our role as government. Now, can I withdraw my amendment?
If you so see fit, you absolutely may.
I will withdraw. Thank you, sir.
The amendment has been asked to be withdrawn without objection from the body. The amendment has been withdrawn. Members, you are having, let me think back here. 273, House Bill 273 having been read 3 separate times. The question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk will please call the roll.
Allemand? Andrew, excused. Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown, Gary? Brown, Landon? Byron? Campbell, Elisa? Campbell, Kevin? Chestick? Clouston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund? Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmass? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Sherwood? Singh? Smith? Storr? Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Thayer, Washut, Wasserberger, Webb, Weber, Worf, Williams, Winter, Wiley, Yin. Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
are there any changes? Are there any changes? Jarvis, no to aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 46 aye, 14 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 273, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 273 has passed the House. And before, I've got to say this, Representative, and I will acknowledge you. I don't know who those little children are up there, but I have got to tell you, those are the most dear, sweet little people I have ever seen. And the sound of her voice coming over that glass just blessed my heart. And so I don't know who you are, but I'm really thankful you're here because I love to see the future and I love to see sweet little people with maybe their grandparents. So thank you. That is priceless. Thank you for being. Beat that, Byron. Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
I didn't steal your thunder.
You beat me to the punch there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know
wow.
that. You should have told me. I would have left you alone.
I guess I won't cry now, and I don't need to talk. Really appreciate that, Mr. Speaker. Some of you in this body may remember a few years ago when I snuck out trying to step on that tack right now. Snuck out a day early from the general session. My wife, Bayless, was pregnant with the little girl that just snuck around the corner. So Bayless, if you could go catch her and stand up. And my son, Hugh, who's got that sharp-looking shirt, and my in-laws that keep things functioning at home, Richard and Elizabeth Sword. Please, everyone stand up. Welcome to the House. You know, as we know, we can't do this without the folks at home, so I appreciate that. And, you know, more important than maybe the First Lady of TRW, she's my rock and my wife, and I love her for that.
Well, Representative Byron, I will have to beg your forgiveness. I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but boy, fella, you are truly blessed. And so that is fantastic. Welcome to the House, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for letting your husband and dad and son-in-law hang out with us for a little bit. That closes out our bills on third reading regular. Next, we are at that order of business of House Budget Bill on third reading. The reading clerk will read in the bill.
House Bill 1, sponsored by Appropriations. General Government Appropriations 2, an act relating to the supplemental appropriations for the operation of state government for the fiscal biennium commencing July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2026, being enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Shockingly, we have amendments. So we'll start out and get this ball rolling. Third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill number 1. Representative Nicholas, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I would move House Bill Amendment number 1 to House Bill 1 and ask for your favorable consideration. Just to remind everybody about what we did 2 days ago, we had a discussion on the floor here about funding, providing certain funds to the search and rescue to help them carry out their task, which did not pass. And so this is just kind of a modification and reducing the dollars down in half and finding it from a different source. So what this amendment does is take $200,000 appropriated from the Tourism Reserve and Project account, and it goes then to search and rescue. It also, if you'll see down at the bottom, it says that the governor could put it in his standard budget. There's lots of different amendments like that are coming forward with you today, and I want to explain what that means. That doesn't mean that it's automatically going to happen. That doesn't mean that the governor has to do it. But what it does do is if they put it in their budgets, and if the governor puts it in the budgets as it goes through his review, then each one of those new budgetary items will go in front of your Joint Appropriations Committee next December, and they can decide whether or not they want to fund it at that amount or a different amount or none at all. So it's only a one-time funding through this budget cycle because that's what this supplemental budget does. But it's saying we want people to consider it, that people meaning the folks sitting up here at this table along with the ones on the Senate side, to see if they want to make it ongoing in December and January of next year. So I ask for your favorable consideration.
Okay, thank you, Representative Nicholas. Any members for the first time? Representative Connolly, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I like this amendment. I don't know if it's legal to say. There's another one that I like too. So I think this is a good concept and a good way to help move our problem with search and rescue funding forward. So I would encourage an aye vote.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? Representative Baer, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to speak against this particular budget amendment, but I am going to urge caution because I want the body to understand some of the ramifications. We are stating intent here in this amendment that we intend for this to be in the budget in the future. It's not a large amount considering the account that it's coming out of, but just so the body understands how this account accumulates, we, before I entered the legislature, passed a tax, this tourism tax, and it goes into a very large account, and the earnings off of that account fund the department. And then there's a set-aside account, and that's where this is coming from, this set-aside account that this body has some authority over. And because of it being a tax that's generated and there being limitations on this account, it's not an endless amount of money. This is a small appropriation out of that account. But if it's every year, it'll always be coming out of that account. And I just urge caution if we're going to take money out of that account. There are other things that this body may want to do with that account in the future. So I just urge your caution if you decide you want to go down this path. And one other thing I'll say as we begin this process today is let's take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. So let's pay attention to every single one of these amendments today. Let's do good work. Thank you.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And just to add on to the last speaker, there may be things you want to do differently with these funds in the future, and you can. That's why you have a biennial budget. That's why we bring those back. And if at some point in the future you want to pull these out and want to shift them someplace else, you can. This is just setting these aside and making sure that they're going to be considered for this worthy cause in the future. And if we need to adjust that in the future, we certainly can. Good amendment, and hope you'll support it.
Any other members for their first time? Seeing none, any members for your second time? Seeing none. This does require a roll call vote. Members, you are voting on first reading amendment. Representative Nicholas, do you want to talk? Okay, Representative Nicholas.
So when we're talking about the money, ladies and gentlemen, I want, as a prior appropriator, I always pay attention to the shekels and where they go. The reason that we moved it to this account is that this money, it comes from our lodging tax, so it does not come out of our general fund. It does not come out of any place that's going to impact our ongoing operations of business. And that's specifically why I use that account, because it's for tourism. And the concept is these folks help address tourists who get lost in the woods, and so it makes sense that the monies can come from this fund. So there's really no impact whatsoever on operations of government or what we do, other than supporting our folks who help rescue folks.
Members, you are voting on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 1. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand? Andrew, excused. Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown, Gary? Brown, Landon? Byron? Campbell, Elisa? Campbell, Kevin? Chestick? Clauston? Connolly? Connolly? Davis? Eklund? Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Sherwood? Singh? Repeat? Smith? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Mr. Speaker, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Filer, no to aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 32 aye, 28 no, 2 excused.
By your vote, you have adopted third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 1. Next amendment for our consideration is third reading amendment number 2. Representative Yin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I move third reading amendment number 2 to House Bill 1 and ask for your favorable consideration. So members, this is another option. I know we just adopted the last amendment, but if you adopt this amendment, you would basically delete the previous amendment and just choose this one instead. So it's really just the numbers are different. When I didn't know that the representative that brought the last amendment was going to run the last amendment. So what I did want to do was make sure that we did get this funded, but the issue that I had with the previous amendment was that it was taking too much out of the account that the tourism dollars are in. The difference here is it's 50,000 less out of that account, but the same amount that was asked for in the previous second reading amendment, so 400,000. So it'd be 150 of tourism, 250 of general fund. The reason I went with this approach is that we heard during the second reading debate that about a third of the folks that are rescued in search and rescue are from out of state. So for me, it felt reasonable that a third of that number would come from the tourism dollars. And so with that, I ask for your favorable consideration.
Any members for your first time? Representative Connolly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in favor of this too. So we need the help to buy our equipment and keep our search and rescue whole. If we have a summer like it could be predicted, we could be down at the base level of the 400,000 in the search and rescue fund in 2 searches. So any help we can get, I would appreciate. Thank you.
Chairman Bear. Chairman Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On and against this amendment? Please resist this amendment. This is going the wrong direction. You made a decision in the last vote. Stick with your decision.
Chairman Byron.
Thank you, Chairman. On and for this amendment, hence my name being at the bottom of it. Folks, this is another great amendment that continues to push what we need to support. We need to support these folks. In my neck of the woods, they have great support, but that operation is traveling to multiple states right now, privately funded, might I add you, to assist in some very technical rescues. Now, I, as many of you know, am the recipient often on the other side when they get out of the back country and get up to the front country. At that time, these folks have been out there on their mules, on their wheeled litters, on their hiking boots. They've gone and saved your neighbors. They've gone and saved your uncle that came in here from a different state. Folks, this is a great movement of money into the right area to help fund the folks that are really supporting those that are choosing to recreate in the backcountry, that are choosing to enjoy our beautiful state. And as much as the good chairman of appropriations just mentioned to resist, make a decision. Make a decision based off of the facts, based off the amendment that's in front of you, and based off of where your heart is on this one. On and for.
Any other members for your first time? Seeing none. Any members for your second time? Seeing none. Oh, okay. Body, you are voting on second reading or third reading amendment number 2 to House Bill 1. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand? No. Andrew, excused. Angelos? No. Banks? No. Bear? No. Brady? No. Bratton? No. Brown, Gary? No. Brown, Landon? No. Byron? Aye. Campbell, Elisa? No. Campbell, Kevin? No. Chestick? Aye. Clauston? No. Connolly? Aye. Davis? Aye. Eklund? No. Erickson? Aye. Filer? No. Geringer? No. Guggenmoss? No. Haroldson? No. Harshman? Heiner? No. Heft? No. Jarvis? Aye. Johnson? No. Kelly? No. Knapp? No. Larson Lloyd? No. You bet. Larson JT? No. Lawley? No. Lean? No. Locke? No. Lucas? No. McCann? No. Nicholas? Ottman? No. Pendergraft? No. Posey? No. Provenza? Aye. Riggins excused. Rodriguez Williams? Aye. Schmid? Aye. Sherwood? Aye. Singh? No. Smith? No. Storer? Aye. Strock? No. Stivar? No. Tarver? No. Thayer? Aye. Washut? No. Wasserberger? No. Webb? No. Weber? No. Worf? No. Williams? No. Winter? No. Wiley? Aye. Yin? Aye. Mr. Speaker, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 15 aye, 45 no, 2 excused.
By your vote, you have chosen not to adopt third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 1. Next bill amendment for our consideration, number 4, Representative Heiner. We're on 3? Oh. Oh, this is Bear. I'm sorry. Yep, I turned page a little too quickly. Representative Bear, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know it's easy to overlook me, but we'll get in there to number
Just
3.
stand up tall, Representative Bear, stand up tall.
Mr. Speaker, I move third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 1 and ask for your favorable consideration. Folks, I'm going to be bringing some very technical amendments to our budget, and these have to do with work that has happened down at the other end of the body and things that we want to make sure that there are no unintended consequences to our work in this body and that. And so this here particular amendment is just such a piece of work, and the real heart of it is on the back page, page 2, on line 36. And what we're doing here is we're inserting dollars and a position for the department that handles our education. And this has to do specifically with the board that determines whether or not we're going to add charter schools and ensures that those charter schools are following all the rules, making all the reports. And this position is very important to make sure that that board has all the information that they need to make good decisions. Now, I brought a bill earlier, and I don't want to get too far off topic here, but it had to do with this position, and that is on the general file. We'll determine whether or not we're going to advance that bill or not, but what happened is during the interim, the executive branch added this position in, folks, and they do not have that authority. This body determines if we're going to add positions and fund those positions. So we defunded that position in this budget, okay? And that bill would have said, or says that the executive doesn't have that authority. Just to remind the executive that they don't have that authority to do our good work. But I will say that this person has been hired and been working in this position for a little bit, and our work would eliminate that position if we don't do this amendment, if we don't pass this amendment. And it is an important position for that work of that board. So with that, I just would ask that I think we've gotten the attention of the executive. I think we've made it pretty clear where we stand on these things. And there are some changes here. This is no longer going to be a position that's under the authority of the executive. Number one executive, it moves it into the executive that's in charge of education. So with that, I'll ask for your favorable consideration on this and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Byron, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for, and I appreciate the good bringer of this amendment. This is a really important part that goes into the formulation of what the direction this body's going. You know, specifically watching this unfold in Western Wyoming the last year, it is a support position and really needed for the work, the good work that this the board that is mentioned is going to do. So please support it on and for.
Representative Yin, please.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. So to the good chairman of committee number 2, so I know we have that bill in motion about expanding the number of schools we have. Do you think that this position is needed regardless of that bill being passed or not? So we need it now?
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lawley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for the amendment, I believe this is an elegant solution to a difficult problem.
Elegant. Any other members? First time. Seeing none, second time? To the bringer. Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to answer the question brought by the good member from the northwest part of the state, is it needed now? I've gotten, early on in this conversation about this position, when we first came into session, I was told by some parties that maybe we could wait 12 months for this. But as time developed and people really got together to discuss what we were doing with this position, the consensus became at the end that yes, we would like to have this now. And I hope that my comments and my effort and the effort of your JAC to keep this budget at really a bare minimum just to deal with emergencies and unforeseen contingencies would tell you that I'm convinced that we need it now, or I would not bring this amendment.
Body,
Please
you're
vote
being asked to decide on third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill number 1. All those in, this is a roll call. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemand? Andrew, excused. Angelos? Banks? Bear? Brady? Bratton? Brown, Gary? Brown, Landon? Byron? Campbell, Elisa? Campbell, Kevin? Chestick? Plouston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund? Erickson? Filer? Geringer? Guggenmass? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Lean, Locke, Lucas, McCann, Nicholas, Ottman, Pendergraft, Posey, Provenza, Riggins excused, Rodriguez Williams, Schmid, Sherwood, Singh, Smith, Storr, Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Thayer, Washut, Wasserberger, Webb, Weber, Worf, Williams, Winter, Wiley, Yin. Mr. Speaker, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 53 aye, 7 no, 2 excused.
Third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill number 1 has been adopted. Next amendment for our consideration, number 4, Representative Heiner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 4 to House Bill number 1. Members, there's no appropriation for this, so you won't have to do the roll call vote. It'll be a voice vote. Many of you are aware with the change of administration on the federal level, there's been a department that evaluates the efficiency of government. And one of the first things they looked at are whether people were working for the government in their office or at some hybrid location. During the pandemic, of course, we all dispersed to work from different locations, but in the federal government, a lot of those people didn't start coming back. And we know there's efficiencies that are increased when you work on a face-to-face level versus a remote location. So all this is to ask for a report here within the state, how many people are still in this hybrid mode here within the state of Wyoming. So for the period of time from July 1st through the December 31st, the question being that what they will do is formulate a report back to the legislature before the next session to give us the number of people that are working from a hybrid location and also how many are working out of state. So just as a legislature, we make a lot of decisions here. So to make efficient decisions, we need information. And that's all we're asking for is information. What we do with that information is up to us.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Jarvis, for your first time.
Thank you, Speaker. It's just a question for the bringer of the bill. Will it also look at the efficiencies of the before and after to see if there were substantial changes in production and performance due to just working virtually or not?
Thank you, Representative. Representative Sherwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just for additional context on this issue, during the agency hearings in front of your JEC, each and every one of them were asked about their telework policy. So you can go back and listen to that testimony. It varied by agency depending on the circumstance. So that is something that we are aware of, that we've been asking for, that we're paying attention to and tracking. So I personally don't think that this is something that we need in our budget, but that we just continue to practice during those agency hearings. That's just to share that with you guys.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? Representative Baer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for the amendment, and I was present as we were asking those questions. I always think it's good for transparency for the body to be able to access that information easily, and I think a report would do that. But beyond that, I will tell you this. I had conversations with our executive number 4, who administers education, and she had what I considered a legitimate reason for having employees do telework. But during those conversations, we talked about things to track efficiency. I think the good representative from the center of the state asked, would this do that? And I think what this report will do, first of all, is tell us, is there a lot of it? And then do we need to go deeper, which is a great question. And there happens to be software now that can track work from home if you're teleworking. And we could make a better decision as a body. Do we want to purchase that software? Do we want to install that software? Do we want to track their work from home? And if it's only a couple of people and we all agree that it's best for them to work from home, maybe that's not necessary. So it's just about making good decisions. I think the report's a great idea on and for the amendment.
Any other members for their first time on the amendment? First time, seeing none, back to the bringer. Second time, seeing none, back to the bringer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the questions and the comments. What we do with this information is up to us. Now, will we find that there's a problem? I don't know. I don't know if we have many people that are working in a hybrid location. Are they being more efficient or not? I don't know that either. Are there legitimate reasons to be working from a location other than the office? Yes, I can guarantee that we will find some that are working out of an office environment that are working more efficient where they're at. I'll guarantee we'll find some of those. But until we have the information at our fingertips, we won't be able to act. And it'll be up to this body to determine if it's something we need to act upon, or if everything is fat, dumb, and happy, and we're satisfied with the trajectory we're on. So all this is a report so that we can have some information at our fingertips. Appreciate the conversation and urge your aye support.
Body, you're being asked to vote on third reading amendment number 4 to House Bill number 1. This is just a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. Next amendment for our consideration, number 5, Representative Nicholas, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move amendment number 5 to House Bill 1, third reading number 5, House Bill 1, ask for your favorable consideration. So ladies and gentlemen, we had a brief discussion on this again back on Wednesday. And what we've done is we've kind of broken out in a kind of separate pots, so we consider different issues with regards to some personnel needs by our good A&I department. That's the folks that manage all of our buildings, our janitors, tradespeople, and just essentially takes care of buildings. So, and what this did, if you recall, this particular amendment asked for 2 positions in the trades fields. The trades fields are basically carpentry, HVAC, all the little tiny nicks and knacks of buildings. They help repair lawnmowers, all the things that we have to do to maintain our buildings. And just as a background information on why this is necessary. So we have not added a tradesperson in A&I in 15 years. In fact, back in 2016-17, we cut several of them when we had our budget shortfalls. And our committee was the committee that did that. So why do we need this? Why is it important to this entity? So we've added 31% more property ownerships in the state of Wyoming in the past 10 years. We just added a brand new 60,000 square foot building downtown where our good environmental DEQ birds work, 170 employees. We need folks to take care of that building. When we purchased that building, we did an economic analysis that it would be, in the long run, cheaper to buy the building than it would be to continue to rent it. Now that we have purchased the building, we need janitors, we need tradesmen, we need folks to help clean up after the 170 people every day. They got to vacuum the halls, they got to mop the floors, they got to change the toilet paper, they got to do all those things. And we haven't added a new tradesperson in 15 years. And so the question is, who's going to do the work? We had this problem actually here in the Capitol when we finished putting together all when we remodeled the Capitol. It took us 2 years to get enough people to have a regular janitor here on a regular basis because we were punching pennies. And the call was, well, you've already got a bunch of people in A&I, just use them. In other words, just pull them from another job and take care of, see what you can do and stretch the people. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you add a building that has 170 individuals, you can't stretch those people that much further. There's over 5 million square feet of property, buildings owned in this town, in this county, for the state government. And they are spread mighty thin. And the idea that we haven't added a tradesperson for 15 years is absurd. I mean, we have to put our money where our mouths and our wallets are. When we buy new buildings and we take on new responsibilities, we've got to take care of them. Otherwise, our routine maintenance dollars go down the drain. And everything else, I mean, we used to have to beat the drum just to get our sidewalks shoveled in this building because they were short of people. That was literally 3 years ago. So I'd have to consider these 2 new positions, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wharf, for your first time.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess the question I have, and I hope I'm not inappropriate in this question, but it's been said that we bought these buildings, and I've heard it referred to as we several times from the last speaker. And I guess the question I have is, who's the we that's hiring all this? Because I would assume, to me, it would go with, if I was to be buying a building, part of that would be the understanding that you're going to have maintenance, you're going to have people that take care of that building. And I'm just wondering if we're not taking all of those factors into account when we're buying buildings. That should be accounted for. Thank you.
Representative Larson, Lloyd. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this exercise, to the last speaker, is the result of that acquisition. It is indeed. They can't request the additional FTEs until the additional space or the building is built or the additional space has been purchased. And so once it's purchased, then this is the next step in the exercises. And really, to your point, I think another good question is, who is we? It's the citizens of the state, us. And by legislative process have allowed those purchases to take place. And now we owe it back to our constituents to make sure that we maintain them, to ensure that routine maintenance done, to make sure that we get the longest life out of our buildings that we can. And we can't do that if we're not taking care of them on a daily basis. Mr. Chairman, interestingly, in the second reading where I brought this up, except for it was for more full-time employees. After that was defeated, I started visiting with the folks that come in and clean up after us, and they note that the legislative session is busy, and that's a crazy time, and they get that. And but I says, but what about the rest of the year? And they says, the rest of the year is like overtime. And the legislative session is you just have to dedicate your life to being here and making sure you get everything done, because we just don't have a lot of extra staff to take care of the buildings that we currently have, and to assume that we're going to be able to take care of an extra 60,000 square feet without any additional help, I think is unfair to them. I think they do a great job. My hat's off to them, but I appreciate the bringer of the amendment and hope that you support it.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and for the amendment. Ladies and gentlemen, I actually used to work in this building better part of 10 years ago now. What's interesting, and the reason I'm a big fan of what happened here, is the owner of this building, prior to the state acquiring it, actually lived in Colorado, lived in the state to the south of us. So every month we were paying a rent payment that was going out, and it was going to somebody who lived in Colorado. And so we kind of said, we went as a state building commission, and they said, maybe we ought to acquire that building. Instead of paying this out to go out to Colorado and keeping that money here locally and keeping that functioning here. Well, just as the previous speaker just stated, when you do that and you acquire that, that's when you have to staff up. And I will tell you, it's 5 floors. It's down on 17th and Capitol. It's 5 different floors, and it has not only a department that houses everything for our environmental side of things, but it also has 2 other tenants inside the building that assist in that as well, right? So there's a lease agreement that's around there that also requires us to take care of that building for their usage as well. And so I totally respect where the appropriations team came in and said, hey, we can do with what we've got. I would venture to say this is probably a better solution. You're not going to dedicate these 2 tradespeople guaranteed only to that building, but you are going to be able to cast a little bit wider net and take care of these buildings in a little bit better solution than what we have been in the past. We continuously hear an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure, right? So this is that ounce of prevention. By going out, making sure we take care of our buildings when we own them now, it's a far better solution than letting it deteriorate because we just couldn't get to it because we didn't have enough staff to take care of it. So on and forth.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Haroldson, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So on and against, as we heard the debate on this, we asked the question, what are the options if we don't give this? And as they were talking about it, they said they have the ability to contract out if need be, and that as we look at FTEs going into the next budget, these are areas that we can address and we can fix. So at this point in time, we have the ability to fulfill the need. And at this point, I believe if we continue in this way, one of the things too, as we look at it, they'll have a better view of exactly what they'll need and what they're going to need requiring in this building as we move into the next biennium. So on and against this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Haroldson. Representative Baer, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Couple of things. We saw this particular amendment 2 nights ago. This body rejected that amendment. I would appreciate it if you would continue rejecting this amendment. We've already had this debate once. We'll have it again. We are having it again. But I would say this, 15 years since we hired these people. The good bringer of the amendment was in my position on committee number 2 for the last, I believe, 12 years. He stated that we've been pinching pennies. Well, I'll tell you this. It's interesting that this comes with only 12 months to the next budget. I don't consider this to be an emergency or an unforeseen contingency based on that testimony, nor the testimony that we received from the department. So on and against this, I would ask that you hold strong and do the right thing like you did 2 nights ago.
Any other members, second time? Seeing none, to the bringer, Representative Nicholas.
Thank you. Just to bring this home, ladies and gentlemen, you did not see this 2 days ago because we were asked for 5 positions 2 days ago, and this is asking for 2. So it's a different thing. 2 of these positions were in that, but it's not the same request. Because we want you to reconsider at least doing part of this now. So, and why would we do it? Well, to say that they have the money is not entirely correct. What they have to do is they have to do a B11, which means they go to the governor. The governor has to approve it out of the 900 series to hire people to come do this. When you hire janitors and tradespeople, they cost more than if you hire your own people. Plus, they have to do just a limited job. They're not full-time. You do it as little as possible. So, but we'll spend more money on B11ing between now and next session than we will if we hire these positions. And that's not to say that this Appropriations Committee is going to allow us to hire them next year either. But it makes more sense to hire them now, get them on the job, see if they're working, see if they're doing a good job, and in next December and January, the Appropriations Committee can call in the director and say, okay, tell us if these people are doing it right. Is it enough or is it not enough? Do you need more money or do you only need 2? Or do you need 3? All that's going to happen again in 11 months from now. But this building is now ours and we need to have someone in there clean it. It just makes more sense that we have our people than somebody else's, and they'll be trained to do it. And it's going to cost more if we don't. So, and these people are tradespeople, so they help take care of the 5 million square feet of properties we have in this town. Because these aren't the only new buildings we bought. This is just the most recent one. We've increased it 31% in the last 15 years. So there's the testimony for us earlier this spring, last fall was, we need these people or we can't take care of them. So on in favor, please.
Body, you are acting on third reading amendment number 5 to House Bill, excuse me, House Bill number 1. Chief Clerk will need to call the roll.
Ellamand? No. Andrew, excused. Angelos? No. Banks? No. Bear? No. Brady? No. Bratton? No. Brown, Gary? No. Brown, Landon? Aye. Byron? No. Campbell, Elisa? Aye. Campbell, Kevin? No. Chestick? Aye. Clauston? No. Connolly? No. Davis? Aye. Eklund? Filer, or excuse me, Erickson. No. Filer. Geringer. No. Guggenmoss. No. Haroldson. No. Harshman. Heiner. No. Heft. No. Jarvis. Johnson. No. Kelly. No. Knapp. No. Larson Lloyd. Aye. Larson JT. No. Lawley. No. Lean. No. Locke. No. Lucas. No. McCann. No. Nicholas. No. Ottman. No. Pendergraft. No. Posey. Aye. Provenza. Aye. Riggins excused. Rodriguez Williams. No. Schmid. Aye. Sherwood. Aye. Singh. No. Smith. No. Storer. Aye. Strock. No. Stivar. No. Tarver. No. Thayer. No. Washut. No. Wasserberger. No. Webb. No. Weber. No. Worf. No. Williams. No. Winter. No. Wiley. No. Yin. No. Mr. Speaker. No. Are there any changes? Schmid, aye to no. Further changes? Yin, can you repeat? Aye. Yin, no to aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 13 aye, 47 no, 2 excused.
By your vote, you have chosen not to adopt third reading amendment number 5 to House Bill number 1. Next bill or amendment for our consideration, number 6, Representative Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think maybe I can get 14 or 15 this time. What do you think? I would respectfully withdraw amendment number 6 to House Bill 1.
All right, seeing no objection from the body, the amendment has been withdrawn. Next amendment for our consideration, amendment number 7 to House Bill number 1. Representative Eklund, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move third reading amendment number 7 to House Bill 1, and I'll explain it. Folks, I don't know if this is the best amendment of the day, but it's probably one of the most interesting ones I've seen for a while. And if you'll listen closely, you'll figure out why this state budget is such a beast. So somehow this is an overlook, and I've got to read this part because it is confusing. This amendment decreases each named division's budget, that is for cost allocation, that's code 301, to the level that existed in 1923, the biennial budget. These divisions already pay for conference calls, central mail and postage, and freight, legal advertising, supplies, and copier costs. In all but one case, the increase in cost allocation is thousands of percents higher than the previous biennium. In the case of that one exception, the Dry Bean Commission, the increase was only 517%. And it's contrary to our statute. When we established that, the state couldn't take more than 1% of the proceeds of the Dry Bean Commission. And we've all dealt with some inflation, but not thousands of percents. And I'll kind of go through a few of these because it's interesting. And it's inflation as well as misunderstanding of who was managing money and paying for their things. So under, I believe it's Division of Consumer Protection Division, I don't know why this is there, but it's Rodent and Predator Control Board and Animal Damage Board will be decreasing that. In each case, you can read that, but Animal Damage Board is 28,913% higher than it was in 2023. Weed and Pest Highway Fund, just as bad. Beef Council, thousands, not tens of thousands, but still kind of bad. Wheat Commission, Dry Bean Commission, leaf cutter bees. So you got to know what a leaf cutter bee is. It's a little bee that's a necessary pollinator for alfalfa growers that are growing seed. And we've charged them $6 in 2023, and it went to $474. That's 79,000%. So I would appreciate your support of this. It does increase the total biennial appropriation for the division. But anyway, I think it's a necessary one. Takes us back to what we were before in 2023 and a more manageable budget for those entities. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Eklund. Any members for their first time? Representative Williams for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you for that riveting explanation. This is important. This restores important funds that our producers are required to contribute for the promotion of their own products. And these funds of theirs were taken away from them by administrative decisions. And I just ask for your support of this amendment to allow these divisions that were just referenced to continue using these producer funds to further their mission of developing markets, conducting research, and promoting our domestic food production. Thank you for your consideration.
Representative Harrelson for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So cost allocation on this, as obviously when these numbers came out, everyone kind of went, wow, what in the world happened? And the truth is, these increases hadn't been happening. They'd just been overlooked. So we're talking about $170,000 of a $30 million cost allocation conversation. And so some of our heavy lifters are bigger departments in the state. And so these just got overlooked, and they were not increased and not increased and not increased and not increased. Well, then they kind of went through and said, well, we're going to look at them and we're going to increase them up to where they should be. So this is how we get these numbers. But the problem is, whenever you have your producers, let's say in the Dry Bean Commission or the wheat markets or something of that nature, they had not been up to date on that cost allocation shift. Now all of a sudden we saddle them up to these very large polls. And so what this would do is bring it kind of back closer to what it was in 2023. And then the conversation is going to have to be had about what the cost allocations are going to look like moving forward. And so what you're seeing here is really, hey, let's look at it, let's bring it up to speed. Well, bringing it up to speed happened to be a very large amount of cost shift and change for these allocations. So that's a little bit of the background. This represents $170,000 total out there. But whenever you consider some of these amounts, when the wheat growers are having to pay for this, it does create a bit of a burden upon our producers. So just something to keep in mind as you look at this.
Representative Baer for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a little bit more clarity on this. This particular amendment will be removing that $171,000 from our checking account, our general fund, which means it will be a reduction in funds available for other things. It'll be an increase to our budget expenditure, and I need everybody to understand why that is. It's a policy decision if we're going to give this money back to those boards through the department, which is, since it was dues collected, as the previous speaker stated, that may be the right policy decision. But the reason these funds ended up in the general fund to begin with is because of intergovernmental transfers. We have a department that provides all kinds of services to all the other departments in the state, and that's what this is how this money ended up in the general fund. So if we approve this amendment, then all those services for these boards will be unfunded, and some other part of government will be paying for the services that those boards receive from the state government. So there's one reason to think of the other side of this amendment, is that we're going to, it's $171,000 out of our checking account, and if we don't collect from these boards to pay for the services that they receive from the state, someone else will have to pay for those. So make a wise choice.
Any other members? Representative Larson, Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This conversation started a couple of years ago even, and I appreciate the two members of committee number 2 and their explanation, because what we had found is that the traditional agencies of the state were paying for the expenses the state provides on boards and commissions. So we've got 3 or 4 boards and commissions that are dealing in the ag industry, but you've got professional boards and commissions, people that dig in teeth, and people that provide legal services, people that do a whole variety of things. When they have a board or a commission that they fund internally, but it's filed with the state, then there's an agency then there that provides AG oversight, that provides a lot of general administrative oversight for these boards and commissions, making sure that they do things right. They hadn't been being charged for a lot of these cost allocations that are part of being government that the traditional state agencies were involved in. And so the budget department, in reviewing these cost indications several years ago, started making this move to make sure that every agency, even boards and commissions, were paying their fair share of being a part of state government and not requiring other agencies to have to pay for them. And so this is the grand equalizer, and there's certainly some there are some boards and commissions that have, and it's just not on the ag side. It's all across boards and commissions that are seeing increases. These are the only ones that are saying they don't think that they should. Well, and I don't know that the boards and commissions are. This amendment comes in and is trying to bring them back to 2023. But as the good chairman brought up, there needs to be a true up. They got to pay their share, and that's part of that. So I you know, that's just the history. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other? Representative Strzok for the first time.
Thank you, Speaker. So I guess I understand what happened, but you can't expect these people, when they get hit with those kind of numbers, to come up with all at once. Slowly bring them up. I'm sure they'd be very willing to do that. I feel like this is a very important amendment. They can't take that kind of hit all at the same time. So if we could then slowly get it corrected, but give them a little leeway here, give them some grace, and slowly bring them up. So I would be a yes on the amendment. Thank you.
Any other members for the first time? Representative Eklund. Let's see, first time, second time. Anyone want to speak a second time? Seeing none, back to the bringer, Representative Eklund.
Again, body, I would ask for your support. A lot of the reasons the former speaker spoke of, that's try to bring this up slowly. And there are some reasons why we can't go with 79% or whatever these percentages are. The Dry Bean Commission, statutorily, it's only supposed to be a 1% charge on that commission. And other ones, 99,000 for the Beef Council. I don't know what that is, might be half of their budget. Anyway, these shouldn't ever get this high, but they should at least start back where they were and slowly work their way up so that these commissions can continue to exist. I appreciate an aye vote on this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Eklund. Body, you're being asked to make a decision on third reading amendment number 7 to House Bill number 1. A roll call will be required. Chief Clerk, at your pleasure.
Allemand? No. Andrew, excused. Angelos? Banks? Bear? No. Brady? No. Bratton? Brown, Gary? Brown, Landon? No. Byron? Campbell, Elisa? Campbell, Kevin? Chestick? Flauston? Connolly? Davis? Eklund? Erickson? Feiler? Geringer? Guggenmoss? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Heft? Jarvis? Johnson? Kelly? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lean? Locke? Lucas? McCann? Nicholas? Ottman? Pendergraft? Posey? Provenza? Riggins, excused. Rodriguez Williams? Schmid? Repeat? Repeat? Sherwood? Singh? Smith? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Thayer? Washut? Wasserberger? Webb? Weber? Worf? Williams? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Mr. Speaker, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Larson JT, aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 33 aye, 27 no, 2 excused.
By your vote, you have chosen to adopt third reading amendment number 7 to House Bill number 1. Next amendment for our consideration, number 8. Representative Weber, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to move third reading amendment number 8 to House Bill 1 and ask for your favorable consideration.
Please.
Thank you. So what this amendment does and why it was brought has to do with something that's going on in Teton County. And in Teton County, they have historic fairgrounds. And despite enormous opposition from some of the Teton County people, specifically a Teton County housing development, The fairgrounds are currently zoned for public and semi-public use, which does not allow any housing of any kind, but they are building the housing anyway and not following their own zoning rules. So we have to protect our Wyoming heritage. Unelected bureaucrats are chipping away at the Teton County Fairgrounds, even though it is not at the will of the people. Every time it has come to a vote, people of Teton County have been overwhelmingly voted to keep them where they are. The Teton County Fairgrounds has been owned by the town of Jackson since 1941. Originally, it was called the Elena Hunt Park, and the intent of that was a fair and rodeo grounds for everyone in Teton County. There is nowhere else to move the fairgrounds, so Teton County or Jackson Hole Rodeo will disappear. After December 25, 2025, there are no other encumbrances on the fairground, and Teton County commissioners have stated that they will do away with the fairgrounds after publicly stating otherwise at the SLIB board in December of 2023. What this does is it offers a couple of protections for some of these historic sites, buildings, and intentions. We want to protect the Wyoming heritage, and especially our rodeo and fairgrounds. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Larson Lloyd for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And folks, you know, we've done pretty good through second reading amendment, and thought we'd have a couple of these, but I think what we're talking about here is when we have a budget bill, it's for funding the general appropriating for the general funds of the state and the operations of the state. It is not to legislate. This has nothing to do with any money in the bill. It has everything to do with telling one entity. However, if you look at the language of the bill, it says no city, town, or county, not just the one that she references. So this, and it may have value, okay, but it's just not in the budget bill. This is something that needs to be passed as a standalone bill. It's out of place in the budget bill, and we don't do that. So we need to make sure this.
Representative Byron, please, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Body, I would urge you to resist this. This reared its head 2 years ago, continues to rear its head. It's being brought up by a colleague of mine from the other side of that First National Park. Without a lot of knowledge about the situation, I've been on the ground, working with both the town and county, working to encourage them to renew the lease, to extend the lease, 99 years, 150 years. They're pretty agreeable to it. They haven't inked it yet. And I look at our good bullpen up here, our good appropriators who have worked this budget, worked to resist, worked to support amendments that have to do with the budget, that don't have to do with individual law that is trying to come after one specific county from a representative that isn't even in the area. Needless to say, what the good representative just mentioned from across the mountains that are windy, this affects all of your areas. Someone might have to do this in your area soon. They might have something. This is growing government. This is asking a department to add studies, to grow government, to add costs to these projects. Does not belong in the budget, does not deserve an aye vote. Please vote no.
Representative Geringer for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I won't go too much more into what the good representative just spoke about, but I will say that this feels a little clumsy. I can think of some situations where a city or a town might have, say, I don't know, a waste transfer station that's been in place for 60 years, that there's really no need to do any sort of cultural kind of study and increase the bureaucracy in order to just get rid of or dispose of a piece of land. And so I would resist this definitely as just a clumsy attempt that really grows government.
Representative Rodriguez-Williams for your first time, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not feeling so clumsy this morning, and I support the amendment. I think that as legislators, you know, we we have an obligation to really follow how our state funds are used. And we have an obligation to be good stewards of the state funds. And so if we want to see funding allocated and used in a certain way, we can do that. And that's essentially what this amendment does. It's simply asking for a department that uses state funds, specifically on line 16 through 18, to just review a piece of Wyoming history, and conduct a cultural impact analysis. So I think it's appropriate, and on and in support.
Representative Sherwood, first time, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to point out that this amendment affects more than just the funds that we allocate, state funds. It also includes federal funds or private funds that may be appropriated to the department. So again, legislating in the budget, not a big fan. Thanks.
Any other members? Representative Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just briefly, and I applaud the bringer of the amendment. It's what I'd call a push on the system on this. We used to call this, when we consider these type of amendments, we look at our staff and say, red light, yellow light, green light, on whether we're trying to legislate in the budget. This is not a green light. Certainly yellow and maybe flashing red. So, but I appreciate the bringer pushing that boundary. I think that's notable, and I think we should all try that. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any other representatives for the first time? Representative Lucas, for your first time, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I like this amendment. I've been sitting around here for a whole 4 weeks, and I've seen us spend a lot of money on things that weren't all that important to my mind. And we've talked a lot about tradition, and this is for old stuff. Let's keep our old properties until we've ascertained whether it's a good idea to get rid of it. And this is asking for a study to do just that. Yeah, I'm on and for this amendment.
Representative Lean, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I as well am on and for this amendment. We're willing to save trees, but are we willing to save a rodeo fairground?
Representative Storr, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would invite all of you, including the bringer of the bill, to please come visit the fairgrounds in Teton County. They aren't going anywhere. They're going to stay right where they are. In fact, we just built a beautiful new building on those fairgrounds to improve, vastly improve the fair. I think there's just been a lot of misinformation out there. I think the interests that have brought this and continue to bring this are actually just don't like the fact that there is affordable housing being built in my community that absolutely is needed. Those are two very different issues. And in fact, this amendment would make it extremely hard for the county to move forward with a very large and expensive affordable housing project, not at all related to the fairgrounds, but incredibly important. And so I just think this is neither should be in the budget nor something that this body needs to concern itself with, on and against.
Representative Yin, for your first time.
Mr. Speaker, this is in my district. So I figured I should say something, maybe a little bit. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It never was going anywhere. We keep hearing someone that isn't from Teton County bring something to attack it every single year. And yet every single year, the rodeo grounds are still there. They're still there. Come to the fair. I've been to 3 county fairs in the last year, all on the western side of the state. Beautiful. It's very interesting to see how the fairgrounds differ. Also where the fairgrounds are in location to each of those counties within the towns. I want to go to all of your county fairs. Please invite me. Let me know when they are. Let me know when you are campaigning in them. I saw Representative Erickson at his county fair. That was lovely. Come to my county fair. I would love you to come to my county fair. The good building that the previous representative, my colleague from Teton County, spoke of, brand new We put a mural in it, a beautiful, beautiful mural about Western heritage. I have a picture of it. I will send it to all of you. That was paid with Wyoming Cultural Trust funds. So you are saying if we pass this amendment, we wouldn't be able to put murals like that in Teton County. I think we want to put cultural heritage pieces in all of our communities, and saying that we shouldn't do it in my community means that you want less Western heritage in Teton County. That's very confusing to me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Any others for their first time? On the amendment, first time on the amendment, seeing none, second time. Representative Larson Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, I'm not I'm not arguing whether the content has merit or, well, we'll talk a little bit about that, but you just can't do this in the budget. It's just out of line. You can't do these kind of, that have nothing to do with an appropriation. You can't legislate in the budget bill. And the good former speaker who talked about red light, green light, and yellow light, he loved to flirt with yellow lights and red lights a lot. And so it was fun to see him with a smile on his face as he got up here and talked about that. But staff gives us some pretty strong encouragement to keep it well within appropriations. But if you do think that this is worthy to stay in here, I don't get it, because it doesn't just apply to Teton County, it applies statewide. And so now we'll use, for example, the capital city here. If it were going to consider selling a public property, could have a building on it, it doesn't matter, it's public property in downtown, and this is falling in the Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, to talk about the impact of historic and archaeological study. And then in Romanet 2, we have the Department of Agriculture review it and approve it. Why is that? What's Department of Agriculture, what expertise do they have in historic and archaeological study? That doesn't make sense to me. So even if you love this and you think that this is the right place, it certainly isn't crafted to work. So, maybe we continue to work on this in the future, but I'd urge us to vote this down.
Any other representatives for their second time? Representative Storr for your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just thought I'd mention that I really do like the fair. My husband and I actually, we sponsor the pie eating contest, and it's great fun. So on and against, thank you.
Any other representative for their second time? Second time, seeing no takers, back to the amendment bringer. Representative Weber, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, I urge an aye vote. This not only protects our Wyoming heritage in this county, but also in all of the other counties. It's very possible that this could be coming to my area or yours. Please vote aye. Thank you.
Members, this is not a roll call. This is a voice vote. You are being asked to make a decision on third reading amendment number 8 to House Bill number 1. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The amendment has not been adopted. Division being called. All those in favor, please stand. You may be seated. All those opposed, more than 19. Amendment has not been adopted. Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand in recess until 2 p.m.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The House will stand in recess until 2 p.m. Thank you. Do we have any committee announcements? You'll be there. Representative Bear, Chairman Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee number 2 will be meeting in 5 minutes, in room 301, and we will be discussing House Bill 130 on re-referral, 190 as a follow-up, 341 as a re-referral, 336, House Bill 337, House Bill 106 as a re-referral, and House Bill 140. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Bear. Any other committee announcements? Representative Knapp, number 7, corporations.
Your committee, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee number 7, corporations, will meet at recess in E005 to hear House Bill 223, House Bill 332, House Bill 68, and if time permits, House Bill 278.
Thank you, Representative. Any others announcement? Representative Lawley, number 4, education.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Speaker, excuse me. Your committee number 4, education, will meet in about 15 minutes and capital extension 3, and we will be finishing up House Bill 120, administrative procedure jury trial for penalties. We've closed public testimony, but we'll be working the bill.
Any other committee announcements? Thank you. All right, members, we'll be back here at 2 p.m.